Hello, and welcome back for another instalment with Noel and Remy. How are you, Rem?
Very, very good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been really exciting getting the podcast off the ground and getting it up and running. I know I've been quite excited, and I've been doing lots of thinking and brainstorming. We've had a few meetings, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. It always feels really good after a good conversation. So.
Absolutely, and it just keeps on getting more and more exciting as we go forward. It's great. 2024 is going to be a big year for us. And that's already in the stars if you like to sway in that direction. But, yes, at 2024, we're totally looking forward to it. Now we have some exciting news to announce.
Yeah, before we go on with today's episode, we've been umming and ahhing about what to call this podcast, really, and brainstorming what name would be most appropriate for, I guess, our conversations. And we've decided to name the podcast The High Road. I think it resonates really well with what we're on about. And I just think it fits really well. And there's another twist on it that we'll unpack and get into at a later date.
Yes.
But The High Road, we think, fits very, very well.
It does indeed. And we had a group meeting, a family and a aimed motivational empowerment network meeting on Wednesday night, and we went brainstorm some names that would be appropriate for the podcast, and the High Road come up in that, and with follow-up meetings, it was a winner hands down. And there is pretty extensive story that goes behind that, and I know some of you listeners out there will be able to join the dots quite easily, and kudos to you guys. I can see you smiling now. You know, I can see a number of you going, "Oh, High Road podcast," but we'll unpack that for those who are unfamiliar as to where they come, and the synchronicities that have been coming along with that name have just been everywhere. So that's what we've chosen. We'd like you to take the high road with us. So that's what we're going to be called, the High Road Podcast. And welcome on board, everybody. Before we move on, I just want to I ran the definition of the high road as a metaphor through Google and had a bit of a look, and I come up with a couple of definitions which was quite appropriate. I'll read you out the first one. Take the high road. To choose the most noble, ethical and diplomatic course or method, especially or in the face of negative or ill treatment. What do you reckon about that definition?
I think it's perfect.
So do I, because we want to talk about noble and ethical responsibility, particularly in terms of masculine roles. We want to talk about diplomacy, and we want to talk about methods of how to go about being appropriate role models in masculinity and how to be appropriate behaviours of masculinity in the 21st century. And we also want to speak to things like acting in the face of negativity or ill treatment, and how to deal with that appropriately, and how to navigate it in a more intelligent way, as opposed to reverting back to those lashing out type behaviours,
like immaturity and
correct.
Stuff. Because I read a definition last night. It was something like behaving in a moral way when other people are not behaving morally, and like life's gonna whip up a storm for you, and it's about how you navigate through the storm.
Correct.
And so take the high road.
Correct.
It's a good.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. And there's people around you who are looking toward you for guidance. So it's most worthwhile to stand into your strength, stand into the person you want to be realistically, and be someone of strength. As it is said, be that person at a family funeral, for want of a better metaphor, that people can look up to, can come to for strength and guidance and reassurance through those dark times within your family. That's what we'd like to speak to.
Be the person people turn to for strength.
Correct.
Be the strength people turn to for, sorry.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
And naturally, as a default, you will take on a leadership role, and then you'll begin to lead and to take up your position in your tribe and in your family of that role of the senior masculine leader.
Yeah. I love the name. What about you? You like it?
Very, very much so. There's another definition here. It goes like this. If someone takes the high road, they choose the course of action which is the most moral or acceptable and which is least likely to harm or upset other people. That's what we want to talk about.
That's bang on the money.
Appropriate behaviour is what we're all about, actually. So yeah, you are now listening to The High Road. Welcome. That's fantastic. It was really good, wasn't it? Finding it.
Yeah, it is.
And this whole project has been about taking you on a journey of how we're planning on developing this initiative to inspire and motivate people, empower people, and network people. So thank you for coming on board with us. Today we're going to have a bit of a chat about motivation. Is that right, mate?
Yeah, perfect topic.
I think it's a great topic too, actually, and it is it's a curly one that lots of people speak about, and some people can just, some people it rolls off the tongue easy. Motivation rolls off the tongue very easy. Just get up and do it. Well, it's not as easy as that, right? There are strategies, there are why fors, what whys, philosophies behind it. There are pros and cons, goods and bads, things along those lines. But firstly, we're going to try and define what is it? What's motivation, mate? What do you think motivation is? I've got a couple of definitions here that we'll go and read out as we go. But give us a definition?
It's a bit hard thing, the term, isn't it? Like motivation is just, I guess, enthusiasm and I guess belief in yourself to work towards an actual goal. But there's probably a way more scientific definition than that.
Yeah, of course there is.
Put like a nice generic, description of it. But yeah, I always thought of motivation as just, I guess, an inner, I'm struggling to find the words, an inner ability to push yourself to achieve a desired goal that you want to work towards.
Yeah, that's a pretty good definition.
Yeah,
off the cuff.
Yeah, off top of my head.
No, that's fantastic. That's
probably on the spot there a little bit.
That's pretty good. Good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Last year, when I was doing honours, one of my primary objectives was to look into the motivation as a human behaviour trait, actually, and I did look into that and wandered onto the territory of procrastination, which we'll get to in the next episode. But motivation was, I was motivated to research motivation for obvious reasons. There are a number of definitions, and it's a very complex human behaviour, and it's very difficult to sum up in one little phrase or a group of words collectively. We have a definition here. I'll just read it quickly. Motivation is an internal state that propels individuals to engage in goal-directed behaviours. It is often understood as a force that explains why people or animals initiate, continue, or terminate a certain behaviour at a particular time. It is a very complex phenomenon, and its precise definition is disputed. There you go. That's what it says. So that's a bit of a definition, and I suppose there'll be sort of different aspects to that definition popping out as we go along. Now,
I got a question.
Go on.
What kind of things are you that's motivating yourself to work towards right now?
What sort of things are motivating me?
Yeah, like what are you working towards, or how are you using motivation today to work towards a goal?
I just try to take... Firstly, I take baby steps. I break everything down in small steps, right? Just small, little, bite-sized steps. So if you've got a big goal, let's pick a big goal. You're currently looking for a car at the moment.
Yep.
That's the big goal. So how do you go about that? Well, I start to logically break that down. Men are very like that. They have to break things down logically. 2 + 2 = 4. There's no grey areas on that. So, yeah, I tend to get very practical and break things down. And then I start to look at what steps I have to take in what sequence to achieve that big goal. I tend to have the big goal as what you're pursuing, but I break it down into a whole range of small steps, and then I first document those small steps, and then I take those small steps towards the big goal. So say it breaks down into 20 steps before you can. I have no car now. 20 steps and I have a vehicle, right? So then I go through those processes of taking each small step. But I think what we tend to do is, and this is a natural thing, I don't only do it, I think what we tend to do is we totally focus on the big end goal, the big end picture. Now, then on our way to achieving the big goal, we come across two things. We come across either an opportunity or a tool to move us on to our next step to get us closer to our big goal, or we come across an obstacle which creates a barrier to that step, which is perceived as a barrier to your big goal, which is perceived as a nuisance or a negative, a failure, and we tend to capitalise on those failures and go, oh, bugger it, I'm not buying a car, I'll catch a bus, right?
Yep.
So we do that. I try not to capitalise on negatives in anything. So if I come across an obstacle like that, I just look at that as an opportunity to learn something for a starter, right? I'm off in the wrong direction, or I'm taking the wrong step, or it's not taking me in the direction of my goal, and step back from that obstacle or barrier and think to myself, okay, I have to readjust my step and strategy or procedure. So I step back from the obstacle, readjust my decision and my plan and my tool, and then I surge forward again with the new revised step.
So would you say that with each obstacle, and some obstacles that come along when you're trying to motivate yourself just are nothing. Some obstacles are nothing.
Correct.
But some obstacles that are serious, would you say that you view the obstacle or challenge as an opportunity?
I look at every obstacle as an opportunity.
Because that's pretty much a definition of an optimist. Every challenge or difficulty they view as a opportunity. So,
well,
very optimistic.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I have been labelled with the pessimist stick occasionally, but optimism, I'll take that. But yeah, look, I firmly believe that, because it's not until you can't learn anything if you're just walking through your life and everything comes easily. That's not what life's about. That's not how, I remember many years ago, I went out to learn how to play guitar. So I bought a guitar and off I went. I'm going to do this. Pretty motivated. And what I quickly learnt that when I played the guitar, I made mistakes from the very moment I picked it up. It was actually a mistake-laden activity. And it took work and it took dedication and it took focusing to actually make some sort of comprehensible noise, right? And for a long period of time, my guitar playing was exactly the same as standing on a cat's tail. So, but I learnt the value of mistakes in that process, which really give me a really good foundation for embracing mistakes. And if you come across mistakes, let's not call them mistakes. Let's call them barriers, right? Barriers is a better word. Okay, we come across barriers to what you're trying to achieve. And I found them to be fantastic because it give you another opportunity to have another go at it. It give you an opportunity to learn. It give you an opportunity to see what was working and what wasn't working, and then to try out other opportunities, gateways, pathways, whatever. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you continue going down that track, you will achieve your goal, right? Of course, you're not going to be able to stand on a 3-story building, jump off it and fly. So your goals have to be within reason.
It's got to be realistic for sure.
Correct.
It has to be within your reach.
Correct. And achievable. And I have a very good friend of mine who taught me a lot of skills, hands-on skills. He used to say to me, when I'd say to him like, oh, gee, I've got to, hang a door and I don't know how to do that, and I was shocked. And he used to look at me seriously and say to me, shout out to Marty, God bless you. He'd say to me, mate, did another human being do that? And I said, yeah, of course. He goes, well, why can't you do it? You're a human being. Now, I know that sounds pretty corny, right? But realistically, he was right. If someone has done it before you, there is no reason why you can't go out and learn the skills or consult with somebody or discuss with somebody how to go about it. And if it exceeds your skill range, you can certainly contribute to the process moving forward. And if you need an expertise, bring an expert in. But it can be achieved. How did they build skyscrapers? How did they fly to the moon? How'd they do that? How? Of course, they went out and got the skills and started to put one step in front of the other. With every tool they were produced with, they utilised that tool to move on to the next step, and every obstacle or barrier they were presented with, they stepped back, reassessed, and kept on surging forward.
With like very small steps too. It doesn't have to be huge leaps and bounds.
No, it does not.
And like by what you're saying, it sounds like the optimist outlook is very, very advantageous in motivating yourself. Because in a reverse way, like you said, if a human being has done that before, you definitely can do it yourself. In a reverse way, when you're going through hardship or difficulty, you're not the only one out there that's going through it, and someone else has gone through it before. And that's very motivating when you're in a really, really dark time. And life can get very dark. So knowing that other people have gone through it and you're not the only one, I guess, going through it, per se, can be very, very uplifting and reassuring during a time of suffering.
Correct, and you're dead right. And I've said it before, and I probably will repeat this throughout a number of episodes over and over again. Anything you come across in this life, living this life, anything you are presented with, good, bad, or indifferent, has happened before sometimes throughout the history of mankind. It has been faced, it has been presented, it has inflicted whatever it's going to inflict on human beings before. It has been worked through, circumnavigated, dealt with, learnt from, and then shed into the past. Everything. I don't believe, well, there is very, very few areas where that rule doesn't apply. And I'm pretty sure that if we just adapt it, culturally adapt that mindset, right, from say, of course there's going to be different circumstances for people in the 17th century, 18th century, 14th century to what we are dealing with now in the 21st century. I get that. But if the fundamental aspects of how to approach obstacles, I can assure you they have all been dealt with before. So there is no obstacle that is so big and so dastardly and so dark that you can't deal with it some way that's satisfactory for you, that you can accept and live with and move on. Even if that is discard the goal, pick a new goal, and move forward. Before we move on, can I just add to that too, mate, is I'd like to say on your journey to achieving the big goal for this.
For the example, a car.
For example, a car. Very good. Yep, that's correct. I'm saying that even obstacles that have come up when you're going out to purchase vehicles like that, and the way we've done it, or way I've been taught throughout my long history, is we sort of do it in the private market. Because we're sort of people who like to get bang for our buck, so to speak. But anyway, shout out to all the car yards out there and wishes all the very best. So therefore, there's a lot of obstacles. You look at a lot of items, a lot of vehicles that just doesn't suit your needs. There's something about it that you just don't like, right? Now, every time you get that, you go out there, you get in the car, because we live rurally, so we get in the car, we drive across Melbourne, an hour and a half one way, hour and a half back the other, and of course it's a negative, no product, no cigar, right? Don't look at that as a negative. Look at that as a positive, because every time you go out and look at a vehicle or look at something that you may purchase, right? Well, for a starter, you get one viewing closer to the one you're going to buy. Every time you view the vehicle, you're learning. Every time you're speaking to an owner who wants to transfer that vehicle from them to potentially to you or potentially onto another purchaser, you're getting that experience of the negotiation. So there's a whole learning process associated with you going through this process. What I'm getting at here is, please capitalize on the successes of those experiences, and don't look at it as a negative where, this is a pain in the posterior and I really don't like doing it because it's useless and it's right. Don't look at it like that. Look at it as an experience. Every time you do it, it's an experience. It's an experience getting in your car. It's experience driving down the freeway. It's experiencing finding this place or where these people live who are offering this item. It's experience looking at the item, the condition, the price, negotiating, going through that human interaction. It's just laden with positives. What I'm getting at is capitalize on your positives, and you'll find you'll start to enjoy the experience a whole lot more. And when you do end up with your big goal, and you will, you'll be a whole lot more wholesome and experienced in life's experiences. And we purchase and consume items in the Western world, in our lifestyle, regularly. So it's all a learning activity.
Yeah, that's very interesting you bring that up, because there's a few aspects of motivation that comes into play. One's a sacrifice, because it's always a sacrifice. Life is a sacrifice, and that's what I want to write about eventually in a book of some sort. Life is a sacrifice.
It is.
So motivation comes with a goal, for one, a sacrifice, a spiritual path with a grapple with God, or a grapple with the universe, because it's like going to the gym. It's like a typical gym. Like everyone's motivated to get fit, something like that. So it's like going to the gym for the first time. It's like, oh well, I've never been here before. I can't lift anything. Everyone else is way bigger than I am, way more fitter than I am, and I've been here for 2 weeks and I don't know what to do. And that's where the sacrifice comes in. Well, first there's a barrier. You've never been there before. You don't know anyone. It's all pretty daunting, pretty overwhelming. So that's a barrier straight off the bat when you want to. So not only that's a barrier, but it's a sacrifice, because how long are you willing to be a fool to become better at achieving your goals or working towards your goals? So it's a sacrifice of time. And I think that's very important with almost anything in life. It's a sacrifice of time, and you're sacrificing the present for the future. And there was always something I thought about in anything I did. It's like, I want to work towards a goal. Okay, well, it's not going to come with no effort. It's going to come with effort, but it's going to come with sacrifice. And some goals are painful. Working out, getting fit, it's pain.
Yes.
But there's a pleasure and pain balance.
Correct.
That I remember, I think it was Dr. Anne Lembeck spoke about, pleasure and pain balance. So how much pain are you willing to undertake to be satisfied with your goal? And that's what I always remember when doing anything, whether it's gym, martial arts, or anything like that. It's, I'm a fool right now because I don't know, but I will not remain a fool for life.
Correct.
That's exactly something that people have to remind themselves of. It's just a sacrifice. I'm sacrificing the present and my time to become better and reach my goal. So there's a few aspects of motivation that you need to think about to motivate yourself. It's like, one, the present ain't going to last forever at all. Two, it's only temporary. Your sacrifice is only temporary, and your ability afterwards will be so much more than what you could ever think about,
exponential,
or predict. And those are just some of the things that I always thought about: is how much pain are you willing to undertake, or how much suffering are you willing to undertake to be satisfied with your goal, with almost anything.
Yes,
and pleasure and pain. Too much chocolate, you gain weight. That's pain.
Correct.
That's too much pleasure with the pain.
Correct.
Gym is pain, but a lot of pleasure afterwards.
Correct.
You look good, you feel good.
Correct.
Correct. You exercise in your body. So almost everything has a pleasure and pain balance. And I always remind myself is how much suffering are you willing to partake in to obtain or be satisfied with the outcome.
Great point, Rem. That is awesome. Yes, anything you want to achieve is a sacrifice and does have pain. It takes effort. Sometimes effort is painful, And the point I was going to make was you can sit home in your lounge room till you're blue in the face. But I'm certain that a job or a girlfriend or a new car or a new career or a uni course is certainly not going to come and knock on your door and go, "G'day, how you going? Here I am for you. My name's opportunity."
Exactly.
No, mate, no. I'm sorry. Look there on the the far extremes of possibilities, maybe, but more often than not, that does not happen, right? So your pain is you have to actually start to take small steps in the direction of attaining your goal. You have to actually get your mindset together. Your mindset. I want to talk about mindset in a minute. You got to work on your mindset about getting motivated, and that's emotionally motivated, spiritually motivated, physically motivated to start taking steps in a direction of attaining that goal. And you're right. You can go to the gym, you look in the door, and you look at all those guys and ladies in there, and they are fit as, right? You think to yourself, wow, and you're not like that when you're stepping in the door. It's all embarrassment and sacrifice and discouragement.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of gyms around where I live, and I felt that. I was embarrassed, anxious.
Yep.
And I was just like, one day I was just like, I got to bite this bullet because I'm not happy with myself.
Correct.
I got to bite the bullet, and I only did slow steps.
Yep.
And
look what's happening now.
Yeah, well,
you're 6 months in or something, and dedicated.
Yeah, it's like
and results are pouring in.
I don't like missing a day of the gym.
That's right. There's something missing in your life.
Yeah.
Yes, that does happen like that. If I can tell a story just briefly, there's been a number of occasions where I've made decisions and taken small steps to actually. I think this might be important. Taking a few small steps to actually attaining that goal, and when I started to take these small steps and the goal started to present itself, like it's, okay, you want to do that? Come down here and start doing it. Not unlike, I want to go to the gym because I'm not happy with myself. I'll go and buy a subscription or a membership and I turn up at the gym, right? See how your goal's starting to come to fruition. You're actually starting to see the seeds of success coming your way. Well, on a number of occasions, this has happened to me years ago, was I'd pull up out the front of those places, like I'd taken the small steps, here we go, it's on, let's go. And I parked out the front to walk in to start that process, right? I'll put the process together. Now I have to go there and start going through the physical motions of attaining something. That's what was my goal, right? And I remember on a couple of occasions vividly sitting in my car and going through that internal dialogue of, what are you doing here? Are you silly? This is what I'm saying to myself. Are you mad? You're going into there to do what? You've got to be crazy. That was my internal dialogue, right? I'm letting my mind run uncontrollably, unsupervised, telling me what I can and can't do. Anyway, in those circumstances, I've sat out, I can tell you 2 occasions, vivid occasions, where I've sat in the car for like 10 or 15 minutes and actually having to force my hand onto the door handle to get out and go in and do something, and seriously tell myself to shut up, to turn off that internal dialogue and get in there and take that next step, right? There will come a point in achieving goal, this will happen to you. I can only applaud you to get out of your vehicle or get off the tram or take that step into the front door of where you're going to actually pick up the skills to attain your goal and do it and turn off that internal dialogue. Because when I've taken those steps and gotten out of my car and walked into those front doors or into the back doors of industry or whatever it was I was doing and did that, have been some of the greatest learning experiences I have ever had. Right? One of them I'll tell you, I wasn't going to go down this path, but one of them I will tell you. One of them was when I decided, and I was pretty mature age, I was 28, I'll go and have some professional guitar lessons with a professional guitarist. Well, I sat out the front of his place in Oakley on a Thursday afternoon for like 20 minutes, arguing with myself, what are you doing here? You're mad. He's going to laugh at you, right? But I forced myself out the door, went in there. It was one of the greatest decisions I ever made. I got over myself and I moved on. Now today, like decades later, it's just second nature now. I've achieved that goal.
Well, that's what you have to kind of become comfortable with, is facing the unknown.
Correct.
Get in the, per se, if unknown was a person, grab the unknown and face it.
Correct.
And that's what you have to do if you want to improve yourself, because the unknown could be the best thing you ever do. And the biggest growth that comes with the best experiences is to grab the unknown, grab the unknown by the neck and face it.
Yes.
Be like, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Come
Yes.
after you, because just because I don't know doesn't mean it should be avoided.
Correct. And you are right, because you'll find when in the attainment of some of these goals, right, they're really big goals that you've set for yourself, right? And some of these barriers you push through are gonna deliver big time. It's your dream. It's what you want to do. It's what you're here for. It's what you want. It's what you've wanted in all your life. Like, I wanted to play guitar forever. I used to sit there and watch people play it and go, how do they do that? Oh, how do they do that? And then one day I said, righto, that's it. If he can do it, old Marty again, God bless you, mate. Old Marty again, well, if a human being can do that, why can't you? And he set that, that motivating, inspirational little euphemism my way, and that's what made me push through the goal. Anyway, it delivered big time, and I have a number of stories along those same lines, and not from my own personal experience, from other people I've spoken to about that as well.
Yeah, well, because I guess that's what I've learned over the last 12 months, I reckon, is that I've faced every opportunity and faced the unknown and gone with it every single time just to see what happens, right? Yep. I'm not that afraid of it anymore.
Yep.
Because that was a big thing that, growing up and everything, I wouldn't do anything I wasn't familiar with, and I wasn't comfortable facing the unknown. I was a bit shy, a bit anxious, but now it's like I'm here to improve myself. Correct. It's a sacrifice of time, as I just said.
Yes.
But what's more interesting is what's really motivating is if you analyze the two realities of that situation. We'll use your situation just quickly. The two realities. If you go through, you grappled with yourself, whether you want to get in there or not. There's two realities there. One is you go in there and improve your ability to play the guitar. Mm-hmm. That's a great outcome.
Yep.
But there's a process there that's not the greatest. Correct. Going in there, learning, making mistakes. That's not that bad. But the other reality is you don't learn at all. You stay where you are. You don't play the guitar. You keep looking around. You talk bad about yourself because you didn't end up going in there.
Correct.
Everyone else is better than you.
Pain.
And that's pain. That's right. And that reality is more terrible than the process to go learn for the other reality.
Correct. Which is pain.
Exactly. And so there's a pain and pleasure
balance.
You got to go through the painful process of learning to become good. But the reality of not going in there is way worse. And that's not even, it could be, drugs, for example. If I don't give up drugs now, and I should get people, people should analyze this when they want to change their behavior, is think about the reality of where you're going to go if you don't change. They write down family breakdown, loss of license if it's, some sort of drug or alcohol addiction. That's a terrible reality. But if they give it up, write down what it could do. Inspiration for my kids, showing my kids a good way if they're in a family situation. And so when you think about the two realities, it's like this reality over here of family breakdown and losing my way, that's terrible, right? And when you put it into their heads, it's terrible. But then when they think about the other reality of what they want their future to be and what their desired behavior and, I guess, outcome and how it will impact other people, really motivate them towards the other way. Because there's two realities in every situation.
Correct.
And one's worse off than the other. So if that makes sense.
It does a lot. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we don't tend to look at it like that. We set our goals, we start taking our small steps, we come to a real turning point in our pursuit of our goal. And that turning point starts to challenge your internal dialogue. And it starts to challenge your internal programming, and it starts to challenge you on many levels: self-esteem, confidence. Well, confidence is a big one because you're not confident to do this, to step forward, because that you're trying to learn that, and that's painful. But to withdraw from your attaining your goal at that stage is going to invoke pain as well. So, what sort of pain do you want? Do you want the pain to step through that barrier, to learn something, to keep going, or do you want to back away from it, then go away and sit in your bedroom and tell let your internal dialogue tell you how useless you are?
You know what's fascinating? That just come to my head. You get to choose your pain.
Correct.
And if you don't choose, society and the universe will choose for you. And I promise you, it will be a way worse off outcome than if you just chose.
I tend to agree with you.
I
tend to agree with you. You know, so taking. I suppose what we're getting at is taking the risk is beneficial. I know it's a risk. I know it's painful, and I know it's hard, very, very hard. But taking that risk will have its rewards. It will deliver.
And there's research on this everywhere. They did it to keep university students in university. They did a program where they got the students to sit down and think about their life in the next 3 to 5 years. And they said what the outcome they wanted at the time and what the outcome they didn't want. Let's think about all the negatives that could come if you don't stick with university. I don't have a degree, may not have a job, not qualified, not working towards my career. And then on the other side of the coin, they got them to answer things like, what outcome did you want? What career do you want to work towards? What would happen if you stayed in university? The friendships, just a bunch of stuff. And they increased university students completing their degree by an amazing amount. I can't remember the figure exactly, but they actually, through that program, got people to stay in university and finish their degree by an astounding amount. It was just, I couldn't believe it actually.
Correct.
Like if people applied that to other parts of their life, like they have a strong, well, they should believe in themselves first, but there's a strong possibility that if you just draw it up in pros and cons, you'll become aware of where things might go.
Well, that is one of the products that we have in planning with Amen. Actually, that's going to be one of our products. Actually, is about journaling your future. And remember that time we went away down to Lakes Entrance, and I took all of us down there. Remember that? And we got exercise books and sat down and had that meeting.
Yes.
And I went through that range of questions.
That's interesting. You
About
brought that up.
what you want to do in 5 years.
Yep.
Right. And remember we went through that process.
Yep.
And we wrote that down in the exercise books. And there was some questions of what was it? What do you want to be in 5 years?
Yep.
What would you like to see yourself doing in 5 years? What do you want to achieve in 5 years? How is that going to look? And then we went through the process of going through what's the worst case scenario if you don't do that? And we went through that process too, remember that?
Yep.
And then we set our goals for the next 5 years. Didn't we get the book out about 6 months ago and have a bit of a look at it?
Yeah, I did bring out the book not long ago, and I've pretty much done everything that I wanted to do.
There you go. There's the proof in the pudding.
I forgot about the book.
Yes.
I completely forgot about it.
Correct.
I think, and this was back in 2019, wasn't it?
I think it was 2019. Yeah, you guys were just coming out of high school and going into uni.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I used that as a bit of initiative. We went away and we rented a big holiday house in Lakes Entrance on the beachfront, and we all went away. It was all of us, the four boys and Meg. And as a Saturday afternoon exercise, we sat down at the table out the back and we went through that exercise. I bought everyone exercise books and pens, and everyone got to document what they want to do. And we went through that program of journaling and making a life plan.
That's one of the programs we're going to do for sure. For
absolutely. So keep your eye out. We'll actually have classes to be able to step through that process and be able to speak to that.
I remember an aspect of it was, I want to educate myself. I want to finish my degree, and I wasn't that social at the time back in 2019. I just started uni, didn't know anyone. All my friends went their own way after high school. It was a bit of a different environment for me. So one of the things I wrote down there was like, I know what I'm doing wrong. And one of the things was my social life was very low because it was unfamiliar. And I wrote down, I want my social life to increase a bit. And so subconsciously writing that down over the next couple of years, I increased my social life to where I have a couple of friend groups now, and I'm going out, I'm meeting people, joining groups, I'm educating myself. That was one of the things that I wanted to do because I take education very seriously, and so that was just all the things that I I worked on subconsciously, and writing it down really, really helped.
Absolutely, because we had a discussion, because once everything was written down, we actually went through and discussed the process and what was going on and how to achieve that. And I think articulating that puts words to those emotions and those desires, and actually you start to ruminate and you start to think about it, and it starts to roll around in your mind, and it sort of sets the wheels in motion to attaining that goal. See, because we do tend to be very, very busy getting around in our daily lives, we don't get to articulate our desires, our long-term desires, our long-term goals, and what we'd like to see. Yeah, I'd like to buy a house, and I'd like to get married and have children. Well, that's very, very broad.
Yep.
We need to bring it down to a more singular, attainable goals and initiatives to start the process of going down your life's journey. And yes, journaling is going to be a big avenue. We'll actually have we'll actually do a whole episode on it, actually, and we'll have a big talk about that too. So, yeah, that's something to look forward into the future.
I think also, if I didn't write it down, I wouldn't have known it existed. It took some serious self-reflection and thinking and really digging deep into, what I want and what's in my conscious, all that stuff. And if I was just doing a day-to-day life, like working and I wouldn't have even thought about what I actually wanted. I wouldn't even think about it. I wouldn't even know it existed.
Yep.
I wouldn't even know if it's something that I wanted.
Yep.
It was something that I really had to think about.
Yep.
So,
and for young men,
yeah, especially.
It's well, again, they struggle with articulating things, and men tend to talk shoulder to shoulder as opposed to face to face.
Yep.
So that there's that bit of communication difficulty. And when we sat down and started going through that process, that actually gives you an opportunity to actually have a look at. I did it myself. I was facilitating the thing because I was playing tricks on you like dads do. But I went through the process as well and found that very, very valuable for myself. I've been writing life plans every 5 years for a long, long, long time.
Yeah,
and it's
due
very
for another.
Well. Yes, we are, and me and the same. It's a very valuable, worthwhile exercise to do, and it's amazing what happens when you read back over it. When you find the book again, like you keep it on your desk or with your books or whatever, you stumble across it and you open it up and you look at it, and 5 years or 4.5 years have gone, and you go through the list and you're actually stunned at how many you have achieved. And when you look back, well, answer me this question, would you, Rem? How different are you today as opposed to the 2nd of February 2019?
I am a completely different person, and that sounds pretty obvious. Oh yeah, well, obviously it's been almost 5 years, but I can't even describe how different I am. It is way different. My mindset, what I was doing. I was just a teenager, and that's, people underestimate how much you're going to change.
And how much had you articulated those changes in your list when you were writing that down when we went away for that weekend?
I didn't really think about it. I thought about it a lot, right? But I didn't really think about how important it would be for me until I'd reach, or what I wrote down, until I was happy with my goals and what I want to do. I didn't realize how important that was until I'd done it. And that was very, very different for me because I was 19, fresh out of high school,
Yep.
Teenager. And then, I thought about, it'd be nice to have this, but the importance of having it 5 years later stuck out to me more now than it ever did 5 years ago.
Yep.
So that was a very, very eye-opening experience. When I opened the book, I just got taken back by it. I was like, wow. Yeah, and when I was 19, I don't really care about it.
Yeah, that's right. And then boom, boom. Yeah, 5 years has gone like that.
As you said that.
Snap of a finger.
You said 5 years is going to go like a snap of a finger.
Yep.
And you're going to really question about what you're doing. Yes. And I'm so glad you sat me down for that. Because I could not. Well, I can't thank myself enough for doing it, and I can't thank you enough for making me do it.
Thank you.
Because it put everyone on the same path towards their goal, and everyone should do it.
Yep.
Just have a 3 to 5 year plan.
Yep.
Everyone should do it, because in 5 years you're not going to know yourself, but you're going to be thankful that you wrote down what you want to happen and subconsciously work towards that goal.
That's right, and that's it. I'd like to add, that's at any age.
Yes.
You don't have to be 19. You don't have to be just out of high school. Oh, when I was doing it, I was well into my late 50s. Sorry. Yes. I just nearly choked. No. But no, I was a fair age. And again, it's invaluable. It's because you're always going to be changing. If that's your goal, life's goal, I know my life goal is to be an eternal learner, the eternal learner. And, look, any age. It works at any age. Whatever you want to change in your life, within your capacity to change. Just finally, I wanted to talk about some strategies of how to keep yourself motivated. I wrote I was a part of a group, actually. It was a Facebook group, who actually we had to articulate how we kept ourselves motivated. And again, this is sort of relates largely back to what we were just speaking about, actually, because you know how much I like to write. You like to write, so we're very big on pens and papers and biros and documenting things. And because when you write something and put it on paper, you actually take it out of the thought process and you put it into you bring it into the tangible world. It actually then exists as something, and then it only starts to snowball from that point.
Yeah, you bring it into the physical realm.
Correct. And with goal attainment, it works very well. This is one of the strategies I wrote on this Facebook post. It's called Stay Motivated. This is one of my strategies to stay motivated after our last session for 2024. Well, this was like a pre-season session to prep us up for 2024 to achieve our goals. So my contribution was I have 3 goals. I have 3 steps. The first step is to write down your top 3 goals and put them somewhere you can see them on a regular basis. Each time you read these goals, take a moment to think into yourself with honesty. Feel the internal conflict you may have and feel about this issue, and lean into that blockage / fear / hesitation. Have a think about that hesitation. Have a think about the blockages that are associated to when you're thinking about that goal, particularly when it's got to do with things like personal self-improvement, say weight loss, or say addictions. There'll be a certain discomfort associated with looking at those goals. I want to stop having 3 sugars in my coffee every day, right? So there's a certain comfort zone in there that you're comfortable with 3 sugars. That's what you used to. That's what I like. That's why I've done. I've done that for 20 years. It's a habit. There's a bit of addiction going on there as well. So there's going to be a discomfort. That discomfort, right, is what I'm referring for you to look into if you want to change that behaviour. Feel the internal conflict about the issue. Take a moment to explore your inner discomfort each time and read your list of goals again. Step 3. Your blockage / fear / hesitation is your stumbling block emotion. Push through it. Bravely take the first few baby steps that make up the pathway to your goal. Once you do this, quickly changes will appear that provide you with inspiration to take a few more baby steps, and you're on your way to achieving your goal. Step 4. Step 4 is repeats step through to 4 again and keep repeating until you attain your goal.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. Each time you do that, even if you fail, right? Even if you fall over, what that does is like the journaling. You've put it in your mindset. You've opened up an internal dialogue in relation to the goal that you want to achieve. You've started to build a pathway. Even if you go back to square one, and it'll be in the forefront of your mind. You might not address that 3 sugars in your coffee again for another 3, 6 or 12 months, but I can guarantee you will address it again. And if you go through adopting a small strategy, something like that, you've learnt that, and you've learnt that strategy has gotten you, X amount of steps down your pathway to achieving your goal. So you'll start there again. And then you'll come up to the point where you give up the last time and you'll push a bit further. Then you might stop it again, and you might find a barrier and stop doing that again. Go back to your three sugars in your coffee. But then you'll come right round in the circle again and start again.
It's like a muscle.
Again, exactly. It's exactly what's going on.
You become better at it the more you do it.
Correct.
And what's important, you can maneuver it and adjust it to suit other things you want to change.
Correct. That's exactly what happens. And you will achieve your goal. The only thing I will say in finishing is these things never happen in your time. We always want things now, right now, and if it's not now, I want it yesterday. Right?
Yep.
It doesn't happen like that, but it will certainly happen. And it all begins with you taking the first small step. We might finish that up at there. Is there anything quickly you'd like to say before we say see you later to everybody?
Yeah, just a reminder that the task of achieving the highest and most accomplished version of yourself lies within your own responsibility. So make it happen.
It does. It certainly does. All right, we might finish that up there. Take care. Thanks for being with us. We hope that's been informative, and you can take maybe one little thing away. That'd be great. And look, keep an eye out for the Take the High Road podcast, and we'll be back to speak with you again very, very soon.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.